What happens when you add 18 months of coaching to an incredible coach who's getting started with her online courses? How about 4 times her goal in sales of her course? So let me tell you all about it today.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here's your host, Julie Hood.
This episode today is so much fun because we have Sarahjane West Watson is back with us, and I actually did an entire 2 episodes of coaching with her back in January of 2021, which was 18 months ago. And now we're doing a follow-up, and I'm so proud of her. So I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did putting it together and sharing all of her success with you. And 2 things that are going on right now, in case you're interested. The first one is the 100th episode drawing and giveaway that is going on through July 15th of 2022. I will put the link in the show notes, or you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/giveaway and sign up for that, because you can win almost everything I sell in the grand prize winner. Plus, I have some great partners who are also donating their courses. So it's an incredible package, and would love to have you jump into the drawing. And then the second thing that's going on is that we have openings, just a couple, for the Course Profits Accelerator program. This is my most high-touch group coaching and mastermind program. You get to work with me for 6 months, and it's open for just a few more days. So if you are interested, go to courseprofitsaccelerator.com, or definitely check out the show notes for this episode, coursecreatorshq.com/102. I will have all of the stuff that we've talked about in the links that are shared there for you. coursecreatorshq.com/102. And let's jump in with Sarahjane. I know you're going to love to hear her story, especially all my parents out there who are trying to build their course businesses on top of raising kids. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey gang, I am so excited because Sarahjane West Watson is back to talk to us today. And if you remember, back in January of 2021, so it was 18 months ago, she was on one of the Ask Julie sessions where we kind of talked about where she was at, what she was working on. So I wanted to do a follow-up because you are not going to believe everything that she's got going. The big thing I just have to share with you guys, she had a goal for her latest launch and got 4 times as many people signed up as she was wanting. So I'm so excited. So anyway, as you can tell, Sarahjane, welcome. Thank you for coming back on the podcast to talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Yes, and this is going to be fun to do the follow-up.
I know, and I can't believe it's been 18 months.
I know, it just flies. And I like to do this at the beginning so that if people want to come back and get to the links, they can get to the links that we're going to share from your stuff. So let's go ahead and tell them you've got 2 different things that you can share with everybody. So start by telling them who you work with, and then we'll share the free stuff and what you've got coming up. And then we'll get into the good part.
Oh, thank you. So my business is Fit Fanny Adams. So I work with women restoring and strengthening their pelvic floors and their cores. So I work with a lot of women in pregnancy to help prepare, and then I work with women after they've had birth at whatever stage. So it's not just immediately afterwards, it's sort of years down the line as well, when they know that things aren't right in their pelvic floor and core and they need it sorting out.
Awesome. Okay, and so I know you have this really cool freebie that you've put together. Tell us what that is.
So one of the biggest things that I have found for women is they do their Kegels, but they don't actually know what they're doing, or they're doing it wrong. So I've got a really simple 1-pager which literally breaks down each component of squeezing and lifting the right bits. Really simple, illustrated in a simple way and explained. So that's all in just a 1-pager PDF.
Awesome. So you guys can grab that at coursecreatorshq.com/Sarahjane, and it'll be in the links in the show notes. So you can grab that there. And then let's give everybody a quick peek into the course that you've got coming up. And then we'll get into the background about how all this is.
So I've put together a 6-week program called Transform Your Core, which is literally what I kind of call starting at ground zero. So assuming that you've got complete dysfunction, you don't really know how to activate, what to do with your core, or you've got pelvic floor weakness. And we do 3 classes a week, short classes, all live, plus all obviously the on-demand recordings are made available. And it's live Q&A session, and we just work progressively through some really lovely slow exercises, tuning in, working with the breath, working with that connection with the pelvic floor, gradually strengthening. And then one of the classes each week is a lovely cardio class, so getting you to learn how to engage with that pelvic floor when you're doing cardio. So when it comes to you kind of going, do you know what, I want to go for a walk or have to run for that bus, you know then how to apply what you've learned in class. So it's lovely. So that's what I've just launched in the beginning of June. We're coming up to the end of that now, and I'll be relaunching that after our summer break in the beginning of September.
Awesome. So if you're listening to this later, it's September 2022, and Sarahjane has been so nice. She's going to let you all, since you're listening, if you want to get her, the price is going up in September, but she's offered to give you the discounted price that she used in June. So that will be at coursecreatorshq.com/transform your core. So we all desperately need that. And I have to say, I have been watching your videos that you've been sharing, and there's so much stuff in there that I did not know. Just
no one knows.
You've been sharing. I know. And so I think that's one of the secrets to your success lately. But let's jump into that a little bit. So where are you at now compared to where you were in January of 2021? What would you say some of the things that have shifted or changed or that you're doing?
So I think we spoke an awful lot about kind of building a foundation. And I think I've got my head in the right place of thinking this is the long game. It's the long game, and build as big and broad and stable a foundation as possible. And I think before I was just trying to kind of shoot and kind of go, right, I need to get there. This is what I need to be doing. And I think get caught up in that overwhelm of seeing everyone else doing courses, thinking, oh, I should be there, rather than looking at their 4 or 5 years of development they've had to get there.
Yes.
Which as a newbie can be really overwhelming.
100%. And I am so glad you said that, because every time I see these posts like, oh, I created a course and I got a bazillion sales and made all this money, and they make it sound like it's this instantaneous kind of thing. And I agree with you. I think it is much more of this longer, 3, 4, 5 year marathon.
Yeah, I think to make it sustainable, and I think it's about trust, and you can't build trust overnight. And I think that's been really helpful. So I sort of put my foundation blocks, I kind of worked out what I wanted them to be. I still haven't nailed a few, but I really wanted to do a podcast. So I've started a podcast, The Pelvic Floor Connection, which I'm no doubt we'll get onto a bit more, but I had a big chat with you about time and capacity, and you were great in sort of saying realistically how much time a podcast took. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to go whole hog and do it. But I also knew I didn't have, because I'm still doing 2-3 days a week client facing. So I haven't got the capacity to do a weekly one like you. So I was like, right, I'm going to commit every 2 weeks, there'll be a new podcast. So that at the moment works. Its aspiration is to do more regularly, but I can't commit to that at the minute. So loving the podcast, and it's fun. It's brilliant.
Fun to get on and talk. So I have to ask, were you one of the kids in school that got in trouble for talking too much, or not?
Yes. It's so funny. It was my son's open even parents evening yesterday, and it was like listening Well, in fact, it wasn't, because they can't say bad stuff now about kids. And so this report comes out very kind of beige. And my son was like, "Oh, is that a good report?" And I was like, "It's a great report." I said, "Danny, when I had my report, I was like, Sarahjane could do well if she actually stopped gazing out the window or chatting to her friend."
So everybody who's listening, if you're wondering whether a podcast is potentially a good idea, were you one of those people that got in trouble for talking too much sometimes?
And you actually mentioned it really well. I think your episode 100, when you were talking about a little bit about podcasting and saying there are some people that like blogging and some people that like writing. And really interestingly, I look forward to the podcast, but I make any excuse possible to not do my emails. And
Isn't that funny? So you were saying that you had these foundational pieces, and do you want to tell us kind of some of the main ones that you've shifted to?
So the podcast, building the product, that was a biggie. I realized that I was trying to spend loads of time engaging with people, but I had nothing to give them.
Oh, yep.
So creating the freebies, and one of the major things, and I think you really helped with this, is understanding that a freebie doesn't have to be a masterpiece.
Yes.
It just, and some of the best freebies of me just having a moment going, oh my goodness, this is what I need to do, and just bat it out on Canva or whatever it is, a quick video, and kind of going, right, out, done. And it's sort of they're done, landing page done in a day. Whereas the ones I really thought about and spent ages on just doesn't really hit. And I don't know if it's momentum. I don't know if it's because I'm taking it straight off what someone said, I really need this. But yeah, just doing it has been really good.
So you've got the pelvic floor guide freebie.
Yeah, and I've got a few other video freebies, all with their own landing pages, and then having a course, the program built in Kajabi. That's been really good to do, and to get my head around Kajabi, which, because I was using a different product before, but that takes time, definitely, because different terminology, and still massive work in progress. But yeah, so I feel now it's like, right, I've got my foundation, I've got something that I can point people to, I've got a reason for them to sign up. And then I think, we spoke last week, and we're talking about joining up all my data flow to make sure that I've got that data capture to do the email follow-ups, which I'm not there yet, but at the moment I'm getting, and I kind of know that that's the next step. Whereas I think I was trying to make my data flow work before I was getting my data capture before. So
right.
It's, I feel like I'm not there, but I am 100% in the right direction.
I love that. And that you're giving yourself the grace to know, okay, this isn't exactly where I want it right now, but I'm getting there, and I know which pieces to do now and which ones to save for a little bit later. Like getting that order right, I think that's really hard. Because it's so easy for us to get distracted with all the internet. Ooh, come do this, come do this. And knowing which pieces to do when, I think, can be one of the really big pieces of it.
Absolutely. And I think there's so much good info out there. It's sometimes about, just shut the door, get your head down, and just stop thinking about it and just do it.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about the kids a little bit, because I know that was also one of those things. And I totally remember when my kids were little, just finding time to work on things was such a challenge. So for all those moms that are just feeling overwhelmed out there, do you have any suggestions or kind of what you've done?
I think we all. So I spoke to you in January, and last year was just a mash. So we still were quite stuck in our COVID craziness and had the kids homeschooling. I was still seeing, we had a lot of traumatic COVID births. I'm sure it's the same in the US. So I was doing a lot hands-on, and I almost just closed from the world and was like, do you know what? Let's just deal with what I'm doing. Kind of came off social media, and I just knew, and I thought I had a real conscious decision that I need to come out of this in order to come back stronger. Otherwise, I'm just going to exhaust myself. So I said, right, focus on the kids an awful lot. And then when we really unlocked around Christmas this year, I said, right, that's it. I'm going all in. I've done my share of giving everything to the family over lockdown. So I made a real tough decision for me, which was I put my little one, who's 3 next month, in full-time childcare. So a 3-year-old and a 8-year-old, nearly 9-year-old. Obviously he's in school, but I said, right, I'm going to do Monday to Friday full-time, but I'm going to take the holidays off.
Good. Oh, I love that.
Yeah, because I was just finding Fridays. I was trying to be mum. I was trying to have Fridays off with the kids, with my daughter, and I was just trying to give her good quality time, catch up with all those loose ends of work, try and get on top of the house. So now it's like, well, the house is just a mess. But when it comes to the weekend, it's like, I'm done and I'm here. I'm 100% mummy, and it's touch wood, so far it's working. So that's been, and I'm really, we've got 3 more weeks, and I've got the summer holidays with them, but boy, am I working in term time. I have to say, it's like full time and more, but to have that time, it works for me.
I'm so glad, and that you let yourself take that time, because I think one of the worst things for moms can be that total burnout of just like, I can't do anymore.
Yeah. And like so many, I know that I spoke to you about it. My dad had a rubbish diagnosis last year, touch wood. He's in a really good place at the moment, but he had a rubbish diagnosis. So you kind of, that squeeze middle that we talk about. I was there having a toddler and a father going through chemo, and I was like, oh, and it was just tough. And I think you kind of go, do you know what? My shoulders are only so big.
Yes.
And you gave me permission to kind of go, it's okay. If now you can't give 110, you can't give 110. And it was really good to kind of go, because I think there's a bit of an ethos probably 5 years ago, and almost going into the COVID period, where it's like, if you're committed, you should be up at 4, you should be up before the kids, you should be up after the kids. I was like, mine don't sleep still. How? So, yeah, just that permission to kind of go, if it's not, if you can't do it right now, that's okay.
Right. And I wish someone had told me when I was in the stage that you're in, that it shifts so much as they get older. When they're in that young stage, you have almost no time. But then, once they get to school, and then especially as they start getting to the stage where you don't have to be so hands-on, you get this so much more free time. So I'm glad that came through for you. And so what would you say a couple of the lessons that you've pulled out of this for yourself going forward?
So hugely need a product. Product, even if it's a little one. And that's, it's quite interesting putting my transform course in to Kajabi. I realized, went in and went, well, I've already put my syllabus, everything in there, but it was so big, it was massive, it was colossal. And I was like, do you know what, I would have spent a year building this. And just think about creative ways of doing it, that you can you have your bare bones of what you're going to do, but actually now I'm doing the classes live. That's then going into each module and subcategory. I've got loads of like 1-pagers and extra bonus material which is already in Kajabi, but the course is building as I'm going along with a massive amount of contingency planned into it. So that's been one big thing, is sometimes that massive course is not where you need to be on day one. You just need some little wins under the belt. So I did a very simple, it was a 3-module, I think it's about 20 minutes in total, 25 minutes course on just the pelvic floor and learning how to do an effective pelvic floor exercise. And that's quite cheap and cheerful, but the feedback from it has been amazing. Oh my goodness, I can actually feel things working. I know what I'm doing now. I can't believe I've just been putting my tummy in when I thought I was doing a Kegel. So, and that was just something like, do you know what, I just need to get this out. And I think it took me 3 days in total just to do. So that's been good. Batching has been really good, and really been ruthless with how I'm working my days of the week. So I make sure I've got my client days next to each other, and then the rest of the days is kind of building the business days. So I can have all my equipment out. I don't have to tidy up at the end of each day, and it just makes things a lot more constructive.
Okay, so I like how you've taken the time to think about that, especially when we're talking about setting up lights and getting, is that what you mean by having your equipment and everything?
Absolutely, because I have to go, I'm in one studio, so when I'm hands-on, I've got to have my treatment couch, I've got to have it nice and serene, and so I kind of get all my kit, have to move it all out of the way, and then when I'm trying to do my live stuff or recording my podcast, it's like, right, everything comes out, treatment couch has to go away, and that in itself, and then when you've got a toddler trying to help you who's actually drawing on the walls,
it's fun.
Yeah. Sounds like, right, we need to work this out. Yeah.
Good deal. So, and let's talk about the podcast a little bit, because I am so proud of you for getting that together and doing it. What kind of style are you doing? Because there's different, there's folks that do the let me interview you, or more like I do, which is the individual sessions. So how are you doing that?
So I had been just me, but I've had some lovely guests, and I think it's nice doing what I do to hear some really positive stories. So I've had some really lovely guests come on. So at the moment, I'm kind of going through a bit of a batch of guest interviews, which has been a learning experience in itself. And just trying to make it informal and fun. And again, I think, you were really one of the things that I reached out with you in the very first time that I think I heard your podcast was I said, oh my goodness, you get so much good information over in such a short period of time. I think sometimes you can listen to a podcast for an hour and they're fluffing over the same key point from 17 different angles. Right. Whereas and you kind of gave me permission to go, do you know what, a 15-minute podcast can actually be more valuable than an hour's podcast. So again, in terms of feasibility and making it happen, that was really, really helpful.
I agree. And I like to listen to the short ones too, personally.
Yeah.
I don't.
They work perfectly on the school run for me.
Yes. Good deal. And okay, so where would you say you're headed over the next year? Or are there anything, the original sessions that we did that I'll link to in the show notes were more of coaching sessions, where this is more of a celebration, like look how far you've come kind of thing. But where are you headed, you think, over the next?
So my biggie now, and I know I've already spoken about it, is emails. So I've got a decent amount of, I've got relatively low, but a decent amount of email list, but I do nothing with it. And I rely too much on social media, and I know that I need to get more comfortable and confident and be as ruthless at prioritizing those emails as I have been about prioritizing a podcast.
There you go. Well, and can I throw out one suggestion for you?
Yeah.
Please. On those weeks when you do the podcast episodes and they get released, make that your email, and that say, hey, I just released a new podcast. Here's what it's about. Click here to go listen. And that's kind of all you got to say. So they can to go
this
listen.
Is just an email. It's content done.
Yep. And that'll give you, every other week, that'll be the content. And then you could do something else in between. Another thought could be too, is if you want to try to use Otter.ai, and you can get your podcast transcribed. So it might be helpful from a writing perspective. You have to play with it. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, because transcriptions have a lot of extra. So I don't always use them just straight. But if you got them downloaded and transcribed, then you'd have at least some of the language that you could kind of copy and paste and pull out.
Well, yeah, and that's actually a really valid point. And the other thing that I'm doing, which I haven't mentioned, is I'm doing some editorial. So a lovely Gin and Jelly Tots magazine, which is it's in a very nice area targeting mums. They've asked me if I'll do a monthly little editorial, 300 words for them.
Ooh.
Which is brilliant, and it ties in really nicely, and they they obviously link back and refer. So I've got this nice opportunity to just batch and reuse, repurpose that content. And similarly, another maternity nursing organisation have asked me if I'll just do little short YouTube videos for them and be like their expert pelvic floor perfect person. And at the moment, it's a foundation, and you kind of go yes to everything. Yes, that will help me. But I'm not yet leveraging it to help me to say, right, June is going to be this topic, July is going to be that topic, and August is going to be that topic. But I think that's kind of, in terms of where I'm headed. If I can nail that for repurposing purposes, oh my gosh, that would just save me a massive amount of, have I done that for that person and that for that person? Oh God, I've got to do one over there as well. So that would be a big help.
Yes, and I like how you're sort of planning ahead on your topic, so you don't have to be doing 10 different topics. You can have one thing and then use it on your own stuff, use it on your podcast, use it for the article, use it for the video. And then you've got loads of bonus material as well. So when that was a really nice thing when I came to launching this podcast, launching the June program, I could actually look back and go, oh, well, I can put that in as a bonus and that in as a bonus. And all of a sudden, you've got a really compelling proposition to give them. Love that. The other thing that you've been doing that I just love is your social media. So can you tell us a little bit about where you've been focusing, like which platforms and what you're trying to do on that? Because I think that's been really good.
So Instagram and Facebook are where I spend most time. Instagram lives work really well for me, and just doing videos. But they're really clamped down. I don't do reels. I am a dinosaur. I still don't know how to do a reel. The prospect of doing a reel scares me. But I'm just literally doing informative educational videos in a light-hearted way and trying to keep them under 60 seconds. But yeah, it's a bit brutal now. Insta cuts you off after 60 seconds, but that's getting really good engagement, and it's getting a huge amount more followers. So that's been great. But it's something that I know I'm not kind of savvy on that. I'm doing what I need to be doing. It's working, but I'm not necessarily saying I'm not doing the on trend stuff with social media. But I haven't got. I admit I haven't got the capacity to do it at the moment. So it's like, do you know what? Just doing a bare bones video of me is so much better than doing nothing. If I'm overwhelmed at the prospect of finding out about a reel.
I'm so glad you said that, because I was watching a few of these videos and they're so informative that you're doing. It's things I've never heard about, how your system works and how your pelvic floor works. And I think you're doing this really wonderful job. Like, you'll have props and different ways to show
me and my friendly pelvis.
Yes, the bones,
the balloon.
yes. And so, it's working. So keep doing it, right? And not giving ourselves the concern of, oh my goodness, I have to do reels, that kind of thing. So
the pressure, insane pressure.
I agree.
And also as well, because we often follow who we're trying to, our like-minded peers. I can get overwhelmed at what they're doing and thinking, oh, they've so got it sorted. But I have to keep going back to, but how is what they're doing driving revenue? And you look at it and you kind of go, actually, they're looking at numbers and followers. And I think that whole piece of, you don't have to have, if you've got 10,000 followers, but you're not selling them anything, you're not making any money and you're wasting your time on Instagram. Whereas if you've got 400 followers and 15% of them convert and buy something, then you're making more money. And I think learning to be a bit more commercial around it rather than getting caught up with the followers and the likes, and that has been brutal but helpful.
That's a good lesson too. I'm glad you're looking at that one because um, I agree with you. It's really easy to get wrapped up in how many followers do I have? How much are they liking and commenting?
Yeah.
And but that doesn't necessarily pay the mortgage. So,
No, exactly. Yeah, we do. So that's been good. So I think getting a bit more. I love what I do in the social media, and I love what I do with the videos and the podcast. But I think for me, it's about joining up more with the email and getting a proper email strategy and committing to that.
good, good, good. And I think you will love the results you get. I know the other day I was like, I'm going to send out a quick flash sale, and I had orders coming in that day. So whenever you've got that relationship with an email audience and you can just crank out something, it was an inexpensive kind of thing. And I think that the feedback of having that happen is motivating for doing emails when you're kind of
Yes.
seeing some results coming out of it. So
Exactly. And I just suddenly thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to get to September, and my email is just literally going to be a sale, it's going to be a sales email. And I'm almost going, right, I'll sort out my emails every time I want to sell something. Thought, nah, we've got to stop that. We've got to give them information. We've got to give them good value first. And so that's really where I know I need to be over the summer holidays.
And I think you could even share some of the Instagram videos if you wanted to make that an email one week.
Yeah,
Just
that's a good idea.
short little summary about what you talk about, and then, hey, go watch this video right here. And I know you and I have talked about this a lot. I talk about this with everybody in my program, is want you to send people to click somewhere from your
Oh,
emails,
yes.
whether it's to a free Instagram video or to go look at your free lead magnet, or one of these days you'll send out that email that says, go buy this thing. So they're used to kind of going
Yeah,
and
and the same
clicking.
with the podcast. That was really, really helpful. Is whatever you're doing, get them to do something. Even not buying, but just get them to act. So everyone's used to doing something.
Yeah. So, oh my goodness, I hope you know how excited I am for you, because I remember kind of where you were at, and you've got so much good things going on now with all the foundation set up and everything. So,
Yeah,
so
no, it
proud of
has.
you.
It's been great, and to have to do the monthly programs with you on the course Profits Accelerator has been so helpful. To sit there, and I was just saying to you before, I love our little messenger group with everyone else on it, and we, to kind of go, right, where are we up to, or is anyone else behind on that? Has anyone got any good tips on this? That's been really, really nice, and has definitely helped me just keep momentum and kind of go, oh, I'm afraid, because I think we can sometimes go, right, I've got to do that, and then we forget we've got 5 plates spinning on the other side. And being in that process just makes you sort of go, right, this is what we're doing, and don't forget this, and well, how about this, and right, let's look forward now to the next quarter. That's been really helpful on the course Profits.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's one of my favorites because you guys, I hope like I love watching your expansion and the way that you're growing, and I hope that comes through with everything that we're working on, is really giving you that, what do you need next, so that we can keep moving forward and stuff. So it's
Yes.
exciting. So thanks so much for giving us this update. And I want to give out those links again. So now that y'all have listened to the whole podcast, it's coursecreatorshq.com/pelvic, or I'm sorry, /Sarahjane. And that's going to be her pelvic floor guide, just a quick 1-pager for all of you women out there trying to get things in shape. And then she's going to have the Transform Your Core course coming up in September. So make sure you get on the list for that too. CourseCreatorsHQ.com/transform your core. And thank you so much, Sarahjane, for taking the time. I know how busy you are, so I
Oh, no,
really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And again, thank you for helping me get to that from where I was 18 months ago going,
I know, and I'm so excited for you, because this feels so much more, not only focused, but like you feel more confident, I think, in what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel, I wouldn't say in control, but I can see the concept of control coming on the table.
Does anybody with little kids feel in control anymore? Like, I just don't think it's possible.
No.
Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.
And you, thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that episode with Sarahjane West Watson, and be sure to go to CourseCreatorsHQ.com/102 to get all the links to her programs, the link to the giveaway, the link to Course Profits Accelerator. So much stuff going on this week. And thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care and have a great week.